Welcome to episode 99, Real Exceptionalism. I do a lot of meditating these days. Meditating is like looking for answers yet to come based on those that have come and gone. And if you're really dumb if by now you don't have you know what on. So I was thinking the other day about whether I'd lied in a particular episode where I advised that I told myself I was going to stop repeating myself about you know what. But I knew why I hadn't lied. I mean, has there been repetition in the manner in which I brought up closed captioning since? Anyway, saying I told myself I would do something means that if I didn't do it means I lied. I wasn't lying to you. Internal joke. Ask them to count how many times you lied to yourself. Lying seems to be no big deal these days, at least to many people. But it's still a big deal for me. I did an entire blog episode about lying after all. So recently I was considering how many times I have, if not perhaps outright lied, shaded the truth some since that episode. I lost count. But I definitely would not be lying in saying that I've changed a lot since I started doing this blog. And some of the change has given me a different perspective on my life and on life in general on our planet. The important thing is that change in your perspective on life generally brings about a change in your lifestyle. That has definitely happened to me. As an example, there is sports. I'm not about to say I never watch sports anymore. It's just I don't watch sports even half as much as I used to. The thing is, the amount of leisure time people spend doing or watching something will directly correlate to the amount of enjoyment they get from the doing or watching. And if people's tastes change, as sometimes happen, so will their doing and viewing. So, since I've changed, for me these days I've become more judicious in the sports I watch and the players I like to watch. I simply don't get as much joy from watching sports where players are constantly being discourteous to fellow players, the officiating folks, and the spectators. Trash talk seems to be a lost art. Instead, male players in particular in so many sports these days seem to think it's okay to be teaching kids to be always spitting at people. It's not macho, just disgusting. But going back to sports in general, I figure that it's okay to root for your favorite team with a warlike mentality as long as we bear in mind that it's like war, not war, and that it's a sport. We can express anger and dismay or like and dislike without trying to draw blood or being disgusting. I have to emphasize that I'm talking about sports. Internal joke. No, not that the kind of. Over the course of human history, by design or mishap, the result of many a competition, sporting or otherwise, has seen real war ensue between tribes or nations or people. That's because if you are trying to outdo your opponent outside of the actual sport being played, that means you are competing and trying to outdo the other in ways that could eventually lead to fighting and in some situations, war. To me, it's hard to think of a bigger peril for the human race than the seeming inability of different types of people to live in peace with each other. And in this so connected day and age, discourteousness amongst opponents on the sporting field, just like on the internet field or the political field, always has the potential to give life to tribal conflict on the planet. When I think about it, eliminating conflict might make future life on the planet seem very bland indeed compared to what we have now. Internal joke. But they will just have to survive with it to stay in the game. Let me explain. I was playing pool with a buddy the other day and I lost every game. And after a couple of those games we played, he said, "Good game." What went through my mind initially was whether he was mocking my interpretation of good. Whether he was in effect saying it was a good game for him, but relatively not for me. But I dismissed the thought. The games were well played and close, and I really should have won a couple of them. I figured it was a good game if both he and I played it fairly and honestly. Outcomes can be good or bad. It's what we do that defines good. But as I discussed in prior episodes, what remains relative is the excuse or justification we use for doing things that are not good. If you can conceive of life on a planet being like a video game, the game of life, video game, so to speak, then, desired or not, blandness will appear to be what will favor a planet's survivability prospects in the game. That's because if planet-destroying conflict is to be reduced, it seems there has to be more sharing of stuff to eliminate issues that cause conflict. Just look at the planet Earth. Inequality is such a big factor in causing conflict on this planet, and currently that inequality is so heavily skewed along ethnic and racial lines. It would seem that there has to be more sharing of wealth and resources if conflict is ever to be eliminated. But moving towards equality means moving towards a sort of sameness. That means blandness. But not everything has to be bland. Different people like different things and different amounts of things to different degrees. And the earth and nature are nothing but colors, a counter to blandness. Colors that exist in harmony. That would suggest that if you eliminate colors, you effectively eliminate your planet from the game. The thing is though, colors can always be mixed to create more colors. You know, there's a saying about racial mixing being the only way to cure racism once it's kindled on a planet. Well, to me, it's hard to see any other real feasible solution. Why? Because when what's needed is sharing, it takes a special kind of sharing to cure conflict, and an especially special kind to overcome ethnic and racial conflict. The problem with sharing by trying to develop the earth geographically by matching people based on likes and dislikes is that the things that the really bad people do will eventually destroy the entire planet. Internal joke. Just to let you know, your planet gets destroyed and you're out of the game. Why is it that a special sharing is needed for conflict? Because one type of people, say the strong or the smart elect, always figure they don't need the weak or the supposedly dumb. But you are only strong if you have people weaker than you, and there's no hubris that can outdo the one where you think you're smarter than the next man or woman or person body. In these situations, it's likely there will be conflict that will result in more conflict. The strong will always be trying to get stronger to be always the strongest. You will always have those trying to show they are the smartest or they're not as dumb as you. Internal joke. You just running from saying they're not dumb. The bottom line is that seemingly with humans, there will always be conflict leading to more conflict. In another scenario, for example, if you match the strong for their strength with the weak for their knowledge of the most creative ways of overcoming the strong, you will get a combination likely to challenge the claimed strongest. Essentially, there will be conflict leading to more conflict, with the loser forever finding ways to get back at the winner. Internal joke. With people so dispersed, genocide don't work like it used to. Is there a cure for that all-conquering human nature that prevents the strong from living in harmony with the weak? Only, it seems, a certain degree of blandness. But to me, scientifically speaking, internal joke. That's scientifically a joke, right? But speaking as some scientists may do, it would seem that if there ever is going to be some superior human race of people, It will be people who have the DNA to overcome the perils, natural and man-made, of an evolving planet. People for whom ethnicity and race cease to be conflict-generating factors. People who have evolved past survival of self and group mode to survival of the human species mode. Down the road, it could be that people with the most mixed DNA, or the right mix, or those with a little bit of everything, or maybe everything just right, those people may be the ones with the best survivability prospects on the planet. It's weird then to think that there might be a country already existing that might be capable of producing such a species of humans. A country that already has DNA from every corner of the globe and yet is still becoming more varied and diverse. Internal joke. Don't tell me those border problems mean they're adding variants. I'm just saying. But talk about a country that might one day, if humans last that long, end up with the most naturally occurring DNA combinations earthly possible. But think about it. It's also a country that has had a 300-year head start on ethnic mixing, which means no other country will ever be able to catch up to, much less exceed it, in human diversity. A country with the diversity of DNA to produce the most complex, most resilient, most creative, and out of necessity, most sharing humans possible. Not to mention the smartest and strongest humans. You would think people living in that country would celebrate such a special uniqueness. It's real exceptionalism. Internal joke. Who thinks any nation will ever be able to win more medals than a full-strength team from that country at any future Olympics? Internal joke. Like I told you, son, you can make a game of it.